I would like to call to order the special city council meeting. The time is now 2:05 PM. City Clerk Duarte, will you please take roll?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Frometa,
Present.
Councilmember LaPlante.
Present.
Thank you. Councilmember Trujillo,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez,
Present.
and Mayor Pacheco.
Present.
Thank you.
I would like to announce that the public hearing to adopt the city's uniform fee schedule has been rescheduled and noticed for the regular city council meeting of June 28, 2022. Today, we have one public hearing, adopt proposed budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. That the city council conduct a public hearing considering the adoption of the city's fiscal year 2022-2023 budget and the annual appropriations limit, and upon concluding, adopt resolution number 22- a resolution of the City Council of the City of Downey adopting the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget and annual appropriations limit. The hour having arrived, the public hearing is now open, and the time is 2:06 PM. City Clerk Duarte, do you have proof of publication?
I do, Mayor.
Can I have a motion and a second to receive and file the publication?
So moved.
Second. Can we please vote? Thank you.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Okay. City Manager Livas, is there a staff report?
Madam Mayor, there is going to be a staff report given by our director, Neil Gandhi. Just recently, you all had a detailed presentation from all the department heads. I don't think we need to do that again. Everybody's received the information from each individual department and the details and accomplishments, their goals for the upcoming fiscal year. So Mr. Gandhi is going to go ahead and give just an overview of the budget, and then hopefully conclude with that and leave that to any questions that you may have, and hopefully adopt this budget today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. The item in front of you is the adoption of the fiscal year 22-23 City of Downey's budget. Just to remind you that we met with budget subcommittee members, Mayor Pacheco and Councilmember Frometa on May 18th. On May 26th, we had an extensive workshop for 3 hours on the same budget. And today we are here back in front of you to ask you to adopt our fiscal year budget. It's the same thing. There's one change that we did between the workshop and today's budget. We incorporated the money that we received from the back 20 on the sale to Kaiser Property. That's now included in the budget, but that's the only change we did. Yeah. So our beginning fund balance, we start with $41,236,000. Our revenue is $103 million, and our expenditure is $112 million. This is the CIP that we included from the Kaiser Property, and the revenue was included in the beginning fund balance reserve. So that gives us a balance of $32,540,000. And as I said before, that general plan update, that we restrict some revenue in general fund. For the general plan update, we have received, so far we have collected 1.4 for the general plan update, and we're going to use 1.3 this year. So I need to subtract that from the fund balance. That leaves us an ending fund balance of $31,240,000. Now we'll look at the revenue. We have been through this exercise before. Property tax is going in total. If you look at the bottom line, changes between the year to date, we are increasing our revenue by $8.5 million. Of the $8.5 million, the top three revenue sources, property tax, sales tax, and utility users tax, is about $6.1 million, and the rest is in the, and then the $1.3 million from the transfer from the restricted fund from the for the general plan update. That pretty much makes up the increase in the revenue. Now we'll dig into the line items itself. Property tax, sales tax, those numbers are projected by our sales tax consultant, HDL. Property tax goes up by about 1.3. That's the normal increase that 1% that goes every year, it can go up to 2%, but the HDL projection is 1.3 million, close to 1.3 million. Sales tax is about 4 million. We are increasing the forecast based on HDL's numbers. Utility user tax is up by 800,000, and in different slides I'll show you. Franchise fee is about 125,000. JPCC and ambulance, this is the dispatch in the fire department and the ambulance service that we do. For the ambulance, we collect about 3.1 million. And for the dispatch services, we offer to two cities, City of Compton and City of Santa Fe Springs. That brings in about $1 million. So that's about 4.1 million. We also get about 275,000 in subscription fees that people sign up for the ambulance services. It's about $65 a year. So they can get unlimited ambulance services. So that pretty much makes up the JPCC and ambulance. Other goes up by 600,000. That includes the new hotel coming on Firestone, and also the recreation department going full force. So we expect some increased revenue from recreation department and 500,000 from the new hotel coming up. So that makes up that number. Charges to other fund goes to a little bit lower, 247,000, because we used to charge indirect cost to Prop A transportation, and we got an audit finding that we need to substantiate that number, which we will do by end of this year. We are doing a cost allocation plan. We should be getting draft end of this month, and that number should go up again. Transfer from other funds is about 600,000. That's basically the gas tax transfer coming from gas tax for the street maintenance that is done by general fund. And you see the $1.3 million. So that makes up your 8.5 million increase in the revenue. This is the graph. And as you said, as I mentioned last time, property tax and sales tax is 65, plus your other utility user tax is another 7%. That makes about 72%. The rest, you can see 1%, 4%, 2%, 14% for other. I gave you the detail in your last binder. JPCCs and ambulance is 5%, and franchise fee 3%. Franchise fee is a commercial waste, residential waste, and the TV cable company. Here, I'd like to point you out on this graph. I don't know if you can see it here. From March to March, last year March to this year March, it's an increase of 5.3 million, but because I need to net out the one-time revenue of the land here. So that's pretty much sales tax and property tax. No, I mean sales tax and utility users tax here. Year-to-date March. These numbers are year-to-date as of March. So what I'm trying to point out to you here that we are moving in the right direction with a surplus. The next is all your three taxes combined. Property tax, sales tax, and UUT. And if you see the red bar is up everywhere for the upcoming fiscal year. On property tax, I just want to mention we only get 14 cents per dollar to the city. The rest really pretty much goes to education. So if you are paying at $100 in property tax, we get $14 the city. But the rest is going by the state and for the school districts. This is your UUT, gas, electric, and telephone. Gas is a little bit up. I like electric. We are projecting a big increase there. And telephone, we are projecting a decrease. Sales tax. as I mentioned last time, top 25 businesses brings about 50% of sales tax in the city. Top 100 businesses bring 75% of sales tax. Our three major sales tax drivers are auto, which is 21%, online sales, 18%, and restaurant, 16%. Those are three major sales tax drivers. Our sales tax in city is 10%. There is still a 0.5% that maybe we can go after or the county can go after. But that's how much you can increase to 10.5%. But we are at 10%. This is the graph that we talked about last time, that how online sales in last year has increased to 500%. And that's because of its Councilmember LaPlante mentioned last time, because of AB 147, which was passed in April of 2019, that online retailers like Amazon have to pay sales tax when they sell in California. This is your general fund expenditures. If you see, the total went up by 17 million. Of the 17 million PERS, increase in PERS, salaries and benefits is about 7 million. Transfers is about 8 million. The transfers is going to the capital project fund for the Kaiser Property. That's why it's 8.8 million. And the general plan 1.3 million pretty much makes up the 17 million. Now, if we dig into line item, general government is 459,000 minus, but it's not a minus because when we refinanced our pension obligation, not refinanced, when we issued our pension obligation bonds, but there was another small issue that was out there that it was just always carried into general government, but now we are distributing that cost throughout the employees. So if I had that 1.7 debt service into 459, it went up by $1.2 million. Of the $1.2 million, 350,000 we have designated for elections. Animal control went up by 100,000, and the rest is salaries and bennies.
Question.
Yes, sir.
We may have special elections next year.
Yes, sir.
And did you just say something about elections?
Yeah, we have just made a ballpark about 350 right now for the November and March. And
350,000?
Yeah.
How much is one special election?
Go ahead.
Councilmember, we requested estimates from the county. We haven't received those yet, but we are waiting. We should have some information maybe next week.
Well, let me say this. Based on previous elections, we think we have enough to cover both of those elections.
Right.
So
And we've allocated how much for both?
350,000.
So 175,000 per special election, about?
Right, yes.
Thank you. 175,000, thank you.
And in case if we need more, we have provisions to accommodate that.
Yeah.
So where was I? Okay. So general government, police department, we are adding 3 positions, 3 police officers and 1 dispatch. Of the three positions, 2 are going to be funded by Downey Unified School District. 1 officer and 1 dispatch will be funded by us. Fire, there is just a pension and salary bennies. Public Works with the same thing. Parks and Rec, we have been appropriating at 100% full force for all the contracts and all the contracts and everything, and so that's about 850,000. Community development, $1,750,000. Out of the $1,750,000, $1,300,000 is for the general plan update, and the rest is salaries and bennies. And transfers out, I mentioned earlier what the transfers out are for. CIP gets $7.5 million. Columbia Space Center, $1,300,000. And then we're going to close out Major S is $1.2 million. So that's pretty much makes up that number. These are your general fund expenditures. In the pie graph, you see fire and police again. It's about 65%, which is your sales tax and property tax. Parks and Rec, 8%. CDD, 6%. General government 9%, and general government includes city council, city attorney, city clerk, city manager, finance, IT, and human resources. And Parks and Rec also includes library services. Trust was out 9% and Public Works 8%. This is the bar chart again. And if you look at this March year-to-date numbers, on the top, it's pretty much simple as we were last year. And we are at 73%. Those numbers are as of March. We should be about 75%, so we are really trending in the right direction. This was the graph I wanted to show you last time. When we did the POB, this is the debt service on the POB. If you look at the difference between red and blue, we took more savings in the current 21-22 year compared to future years because of the pandemic. We wasn't sure that we don't face any liquidity problems. So we had more savings this year, and it will go back to the reserves when we close the books. So that's why the PERS is higher this year compared to last year, because we took more savings this year. This is the Kaiser Property we talked about all the different time. Last meeting, city manager gave a very good explanation what's going on. Full-time staffing though is about 430. 4 in police department, 3 officers and 1 dispatch. We are turning 1 part-time social media intern will be converted to full-time position. There are 3 reclass. Last time there were 2 reclass, but I had missed 1 on the typing, and that's for the library to library administrator. We have associate civil engineer utilities to senior civil engineer utilities, maintenance worker 2 to maintenance lead worker, and the library. So those are the 3 reclasses we have this time, and 5 new positions, 4 in PD and 1 in general government. For the PIO, for the social media, I'm sorry. Economic overview, GDP 6.9% in 4th quarter of 21. But the first quarter in 22, it was in deficit. It was negative. So if you get 2 quarters parallel, then you are getting into recession. So we already have 1 quarter that's in, which is negative. We'll see what happens with the 2nd quarter. So this is GDP forecast 3.4 for 22 and 2.1 for 23. Going forward, 2.1 looks more practical. CPI 8.5 increase in March to March. In April, it decreased to 8.3. Again, it's 8.5 in May. Unemployment 3.6 for April, near pandemic level of 3.5. So unemployment is low, but if you can find the workers. California, same thing with unemployment, housing market, housing market, record home prices, increasing rates. Budget, the state has a $98 billion surplus. And hopefully governor will hold on to it, because if the state goes into recession, they will need that to balance their budget, so they won't be looking at us. Otherwise, when they are in trouble, they start looking at the local governments. LA County, same thing, unemployment decrease, housing market is the same history everywhere, CPI, same thing, 8.5 increase. Downey, local economy improving, that's correct, our sales tax are doing very well. UUT is doing very well. Unemployment at 5.3%. Number of homes in 2021 was an 11% increase over the prior year. Average sold home price in 21 was $788,000 compared to $704,000 in 2020. Budget challenges. trepidation exists over projected growth. Sales and property tax revenue continue
sorry.
to.
What does that mean? Trepidation exists over projected growth.
It's combination of CPI, inflation, recession, about the growth. If these are the unknowns that we are playing with right now, if everything remains the same and nothing happens to the economy, and I'll talk about a little bit in recession, then we are fine. But we need to be very. We can't sit on it. I mean, on the growth that we had in recent years, we really cannot rely on it going future. I mean, we should be cognizant of the fact that, hey, slow down.
And Neil, with the market going to the last 24 hours or 48 hours, saying we're now entering the bear market.
Right.
Again, that signals
Right.
The potential recession looming.
Right. So I added one bullet more recession here. S&P 500, if it falls below 20%, you are in recession. I mean, there you're in bear market, not in recession. I'm sorry. So S&P is already below 20%. So S&P is in bear market. The second indicator was today at 11 o'clock. Today this morning, and the Fed announced they're going to increase the interest rate by 75 basis points, 0.25%. And by end of the year, they want to bring it to 3%. So they'll be meeting 4 more times this year, and increasing interest rates, and they want to tame the inflation, which is running rampant at 8.5%. And it's all my Google knowledge speaking right now. That's what I read every day. Some say, it's everywhere over the place. Some say, we have to do this. Recession is good, because that gives you a health check. Hey, you printed so much money over last so many years. 2008 was the very first time when the market crashed. We printed a lot of money then. And during pandemic, we have printed a lot of money. I don't know how many, I think $13-14 trillion. So all this now, with the free money coming into the market, the stock market went crazy. The housing prices with a low interest rate. Now we are trying to correct all that, and that's where the trepidation comes in place.
Okay. So what the residents want to know, though, is it a good time to buy crypto coin? You don't have to answer that, Neil. I'm just joking.
I'll consult to my crypto expert, Jason.
The second question.
You know what I heard on TV, CNBC this morning? They said if it falls to 9,000, maybe you want to look at it.
Yeah.
He didn't say buy it. He said maybe you want to look at it. So I'm trying to see if it is. It's around 20 right now. I don't know where. But if it falls below 10, I'm going to put 10,000 in there. So,
Below 10.
below 10. So going back to, Madam, your question about all this, that's where we are. We are in unknown territory. I mean, unprecedented territory. By December, hopefully by December, there should be some clear if there's going to be. I mean, in the next 3 months, we should know if you're in recession or not. Is it going to be a mild recession? Is it going to be a long recession? Or is it going to be V-shaped recession? We go in and get out. There are so many. You read so many things. You listen to so many channels. We're messed up.
So again, going back to the message to our residents, we're happy to have this balanced budget,
Right.
But yet, in light of what is happening in the industry and across the economy, we still need to remain vigilant. And just because we have reserves doesn't mean we can do everything our residents want us to do all at once. So we still need to be prudent in
Right.
those how we manage fiscally.
Yes. And that brings me to the last bullet point. Prudent management of expenditures in alignment to revenue projections in order to maintain balanced budget and avoid program, service, or employee cuts. That's where we are right now. This budget, this is my last slide. This budget is based on the city's council's adopted priorities: fiscal responsibility, economic vibrancy, efficiency and adaptability, quality of life, safety and infrastructure, and public engagement. In closing, I'd like to say thank you to my staff in Finance Department, Francesca and Sheetal and Raul. And of course, the Superwoman Maria, Vanya, and I'll mention Judy's name too because she's part of it. She still gets grace period of 30 days. So those three ladies and my staff in Finance Department, I want to say thank you to them for putting all the slides, and then Maria will be putting the budget document together. And in the closing, I want to say thank you to City Manager Gilbert Livas for his leadership over the years, and that's all I can say right now. But it's been, and I'll be speaking for all the directors for giving us space to work in our own discipline and trade, without micromanaging too much, though he does sometimes. But outside of that, leave us alone and give the best service delivery to the city of Downey and the residents of the Downey, and meet the council's objectives. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor.
Neil.
Thank you.
That's great presentation.
Yes,
Thank you.
great presentation.
I know just one question.
Sure.
In the area of public works,
Yes, sir.
if we were to compare ourselves to surrounding cities, usually that's the first measure we go around to surrounding cities. How is Downey doing in the public works? Are we in line with what other cities spend annually? Is that a fair question?
It's a fair question, but I don't have an answer for that. But I'll tell you, once I live in the city of Torrance, but as soon as I come through Southgate or Paramount or any city, as soon as I enter Downey, you can see the difference. I don't know if you, but that's my personal experience. We know we are in Downey because the streets are clean, the roads. I take the big streets. I don't take alleys. So, but on the roads, it's really nice.
Yes.
I can see the difference.
Yes, I agree. Okay, I don't know if we can get that. Just how much do cities spend in the area of public works? And by the way, I agree. Just today I was talking to Councilmember LaPlante about the entrance on going northbound on Lakewood and Rosecrans. There's a sign there that says Downey.
Yeah.
It's in the middle island, and the island is neglected and dirty. It's brown and filthy.
Right.
I don't think that's Downey. And then it looks like a trailer park on the left. And then when I get to Gardendale,
Right.
I see beautiful Downey
Yes.
right there.
Yeah.
Can somebody remove the sign that says Downey where on Rosecrans and Lakewood? That's not Downey.
Yeah.
Rosecrans and Lakewood? Depends on, because,
Am I, Councilmember LaPlante, correct me if I'm wrong, we were looking, and I looked at the signs on the streets and they're all bellflower.
They're all bellflower. So we'll take a look and we'll make sure we.
It's a bizarre area.
Yeah, and we'll
No.
we'll take a look and make sure we correct it. But in terms of budgeting for, and we'll get that number to you. I will tell you, having spoken to and compared our budgets to our surrounding cities and compared them to other city managers, we spend significantly more on streets than anybody else does. And part of that is twofold. One is our arterial roads have gotten a lot of money because we're surrounded by 4 freeways. And because we're surrounded by 4 freeways, we are very, very competitive when it comes to grant funding in order to mitigate traffic in town. So in some ways, it's a detriment. In some ways, it's a benefit because we do get a lot of funding for that. And we have, if you look at our arterials, at some point, the city made the decision to, hey, let's make sure that we take care of the front of the house first, which was all the main arterials. And we spent a lot of money. I mean, Firestone got done from city boundary to city boundary. Lakewood got done. Imperial got done. Big ticket items got done. Unfortunately, we didn't spend as much as we should have. And that's just financial, right? It's just decisions that were made, priorities by other councils to spend money on the front-facing stuff. And it was only till the last several years that we ended up starting to cycle through the various neighborhoods and slurry seal. But this year, we had projected the 3-year commitment in order to get the streets done, $30 million out. We're going to get that $30 million out in year 1. So it's going to be a huge, and then in addition to that, we'll have an ongoing $5 million into our street. So we'll get you that number, but I'm pretty confident that you're going to be pleased at where we're at with that. So.
Fantastic. I would love for the residents to know
Sure.
that their Downey is above average.
Right.
You know, when it comes to the spending, the priorities
Yes.
for infrastructure. And great presentation.
Thank you, sir.
you very
Thank you all.
much.
Yes, very thorough.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? No questions? No? City Manager Rivas, did you want anything else? Oh, Councilmember LaPlante?
Mr. Meta have something?
No, I was
okay.
pointing to you,
Yeah.
Mr. LaPlante.
Okay, I guess, 3 or 4 items here. Three or four items here. One is the alleys. I think we need to make sure we're getting a report on what they all are.
Right.
But we need to look at our whole plan of streets and alleys and not just bifurcate. And I know that it's a dynamic plan, so I look forward to seeing the info.
Mr. LaPlante, unfortunately, I know that you're coming in way late, but we've actually done this before, but we will get you up to speed on that. There is a pavement management plan that we've had Public Works make a presentation to,
Yeah.
and the council adopted and all of that.
Yeah.
So we'll get that to you. So I want you to be rest assured that it's not piecemeal and that there's actually a plan in place.
Good. I look forward to the review that we're going to have on arts, culture, and history so that we can have a more comprehensive
Yes.
look at things as opposed to what looks to me as piecemeal as you look at the budget.
Right.
I'm not sure that it's necessarily piecemeal in the eyes of the staff that's working on it, but when you put the budget pieces, it looks, where's this, where's that? And then I have a question on our transit programs. If I look at page 22 of the budget, of the expenditures, we're spending roughly $3.5 million on dial-a-ride and fixed route system. Is that just adding up the numbers under Prop A, dial-a-ride, and fixed route, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that money comes from Prop A.
And also, it's been subsidized by Prop C2 by $1 million
Prop C, R?
as a transfer into Prop A.
Okay, yeah. But those are county funds, state funds, something.
Yeah, they're non-general fund money.
Right. And then I'm reading over on page 18 of the revenue. I see the $1 million transfer from Prop C. I see that. The money that's coming from Prop. Senior citizen transit fare is $6,000, bus pass is $2,000. Are we really running a program that only brings in $8,000 worth of customer revenue? Because that sounds like to me nobody's on them.
There isn't.
Oh, okay.
So there isn't in terms of those particular fixed route systems, and it's something that we're actually looking at now. It used to be used quite a bit, primarily by students, right? And then we modified, actually, the council several years got together and said, hey, we're going to look at our fixed route system because they're seeing the same things you are, is that it's going around and around and it's empty, right? So we modified them once, but they didn't want to eliminate them at that time because what happens as soon as those kids get out of school, that's when it gets used. So we modified it, and then COVID hit. Then it was just really going around, and even though we gave away the fares, nobody wrote it. So
Yeah.
what we've tasked staff with now is looking at alternatives to that fixed route system so that we can use that Prop A money in other areas. So that is something that we are looking at.
What is Prop A money allowed to be used for
Specifically-
generally?
I don't know if that's a Delfino question or a Neil question.
I can give a
specifically.
generic answer for transportation.
Yeah.
So Prop A is used for transit and transit operations and capital improvements.
Okay, define capital improvements. Is that streets?
So when it comes to like bus shelters,
Okay,
improvements to the transit station, so those
Okay.
would fall under Prop A.
but it doesn't include streets.
On the streets, we either use Prop C or Measure M and Measure R.
Okay.
Councilmember LaPlante, to answer your question, if we can reduce the Prop A expenses, I don't know how, but that $1 million subsidy from Prop C to Prop A goes away, that Prop C can be used for streets.
Prop C can be used
Yeah,
for streets.
that's what just.
Not Prop A, Prop C, that's
Prop
correct.
C, but we're moving,
So if we move away from the transit center, so a transit fixed route system, and it doesn't need to be subsidized with Prop C, now you have Prop C that can be used for streets.
okay, great. And how much usage is there of the, I assume senior citizen transit is dial-a-ride?
Yes.
And is that heavily used, moderately used?
That's a question for Jason. Jason?
I would say moderately. During COVID, it has increased more. There's currently no charge due to the emergency order, so there's no charges for dial-a-ride or for the link. But yes, a lot of appointments to our health centers and medical centers here in the city.
Because I was just doing some mental math, and for what we're spending on the fixed route system, we could send 200,000 people driving around in Ubers.
So let's get rid of it. What do we have to do to analyze this and consider whether we should get rid of it? Maybe today's not the appropriate day?
No, I mean, that's fine. So we're actually looking at that now. It's not, I wish it was that simple to say we're just going to get rid, but there are a bunch of things that you have to unwind with Metro and with other governing agencies. So we have to, and the federal government. So we have to make sure that we cross the T's and dot the I's. So we're working on that. They're working on that. They will bring that back to you. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I have to constantly remember this. If staff could give us their opinion on whether they think we should
Sure.
get rid of it or not, for us to consider.
Right.
Thank you.
I think the answer was already there when it's like, nobody's riding it.
All right.
It's a matter of how to do it as opposed to
Thank you.
whether to do
Right.
it.
Yeah, no,
And
that's exactly right.
And it's interesting that the council member mentions Uber, because I thought, if there's a teenager out there or a family who really has an issue with transportation, we might be able to way to come up with like a way.
Yeah, there are alternatives to these fixed route systems, and we're going to bring that back to you, and you guys, as a council, as a body, can decide how you want to approach that. So,
Because I think that we had this conversation.
yeah, we've had it a couple of years ago, and
Yes,
we
we did.
did these kind of incremental steps, and we're spending less than we were before, but we're still not where we need to be.
Yeah, because I think we cut back
Yeah.
on the different routes.
Yes.
Number of buses.
Right, all of that.
Hours.
Yes,
So-
yes,
so
we did all
cut
those
back
things.
before even,
We contracted those employees,
yeah.
so yeah.
So
I assume.
and hopefully we don't have any money in crypto, because I don't even understand what it is.
We are
So don't
regulated.
go buying any crypto on our money.
Councilmember LaPlante, we are regulated by government code for the investments, so much we can do. After the 1994 Orange County bankruptcy,
Yeah.
we are very much restricted how much and what to invest in.
Oh, I understand restricted. You're not even as restricted as schools. Our investments are the local agency investment fund.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a nice day, schools.
Thank you.
And I would just caution, in case there's any residents listening, that if you do use our bus link services, our bus drivers hopefully know who the regular drivers are, and before there's any shutdown, would explain to them what the alternatives are going to be and how we're going to continue to provide transportation. Just in case anybody out there is listening.
We don't want to have the message sent out that we want to cut services to our seniors. That's the last thing we want to do.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
We're considering our options.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, I would like to move to approve the
Oh,
budget.
we have to open it up to public comment.
Oh.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will now open this item for public comment. Before we begin the public comment period, I would like to remind members of the public that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Copies of the meeting rules are located in the back of the chambers. City Clerk Duarte, have we received any written correspondence to be read into the record?
We have not, Mayor.
Members of the public wishing to address the City Council regarding the public hearing item may now come forward and form a line. I remind speakers that you have 3 minutes to address the council. I guess it's just you.
Lonely out here. God, I wish you'd understand this crap, but I do. I'm just going to address one of the comments to Councilmember Trujillo when you talk about streets. Downey, the effort you put into these streets, you're not comparable to the surrounding cities because they can't compare to us. It's like you're like in the, I hate to use the term oasis with your surrounding cities was like Brea. You go to La Habra, they got potholes everywhere. You go to Placentia the same way. And if you want to say basically, how would we compare with another city's capital improvement program? It's solely dependent upon their revenues and what they're able to get as funding. But I've not seen the likes of this in my lifetime since I've been in Downey. So that's a compliment to you and to the council in your efforts with your streets and your programs. What I thought was interesting is my street got done, but then the neighbors were complaining because it got done, but we wanted to get done. And I'm going, okay, guys, you can't have it both ways. So we actually went around and talked to your maintenance workers, and so they actually did half the street, let us out, did the other half of the street. It was very logistically well done, and I want to thank Delfino for that one. It was fun talking to the maintenance workers. The only comment I have is when you guys do the pie chart and it shows sales tax, let's say whatever the number is, that includes also a Measure S, does it not? And if it does, is there maybe in the future to have 2 columns for sales tax, the regular sales tax and the ones that was the special Measure S sales tax by the voters? Other than that, I thought it was a job well done. And as always, I always love to thank the finance staff because you get caught with the brunt of it, putting the whole budget book together, as well as your other departments. And again, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the kind remarks.
Yeah, those
I know.
are always welcome.
Yeah, thank
They're
you.
rare, so thank you.
Thank you.
I think they're all in shock, so.
We are.
Okay, unless there's any other comments from my council colleagues, I'll now entertain a motion, a second, to adopt the resolution adopting the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget and annual appropriations limit. Is there
So
a
moved.
motion? Is there a
So moved.
second? Okay, let's vote.
Oh, man.
The motion is
15.
approved unanimously.
We all voted 3 times, I guess.
Okay, thank you. City Manager Rivas, do you have any additional comments?
Just final closing comments. I want to say thank you to the staff, and it's interesting. This is my 10th budget and 10th balanced budget. I started my first one in the Great Recession, and I'm ending with a global pandemic. So, but given all of that, I was able, with the great staff that we have, to navigate through those times and deliver, 10 balanced budgets, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of the staff. They're second to none. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gil. Congratulations.
And I just want to thank Anil and staff as well. Thank you for all your hard work. Anil, as always, fantastic job with the budget. And City Manager Rivas, I think this is your last full meeting.
Yes.
I know you'll be attending the next one, but this is your last full one. So thank you for all that you've done, for your great years of service. We appreciate you, and staff appreciates you. So we thank you.
So, thank you.
Okay. So we will now adjourn this special meeting in memory of the Almani police officers that were killed in the line of duty. A moment of silence. Meeting adjourned.